Have you ever opened your Google Ads bill, saw a few $1,000s gone, and then opened up your calendar and thought, okay, so where's all the actual paying customers? If that sounds familiar, you're not crazy and you're definitely not alone. What you're feeling is the gap between what you thought you paid for and what a lot of so called advertising pros actually deliver. In this video, I want to unpack why you feel like you're just feeding Google money and show you how to protect yourself before you hand over your card to the next expert. I'm Steve from Freak.Marketing, and I run Google Ads for local service businesses and spend way too much time cleaning up campaigns that somebody else set up and then abandoned. So just a quick heads up, this is not going to be a how to click every button type of tutorial. This is more of a reality check. If you've ever paid someone to handle the ads and ended up with random leads, confusing dashboards, and a gut sense that the platform is winning and you're not, this video is for you. Here's the plan. First, I'll talk about why this situation feels like betrayal instead of just bad marketing. Then I'll give you the questions that you need to ask the next person that you hire so you're not paying tuition twice. Let's start with the emotional side because that's usually what stings the most. You're good at the thing you actually do, whether that's landscaping, HVAC, painting, or solar installation. You're busy running crews, quoting jobs, dealing with customers. You are not sitting around reading Google Ads documentation for fun. Now, at some point, you decide to be a quote unquote real business and start advertising. You find a specialist. Maybe it's a freelancer or an agency. They say all the right words: smart bidding, machine learning, conversions, A B testing. You write a check and trust that grown up adults have this handled. A few months in, you notice three things. The money leaving your bank account is very real, and the results you're being shown are very abstract. And the calls and bookings in your actual business do not line up with either of those. From your side, it feels like this. You trusted an expert, you spent real money, but you got weird leads and vague excuses. So the only stories that fit are this person doesn't know what they're doing, or this whole advertising channel is just a casino and the house always wins. Now let's pull the curtain back. Just so we're clear, Google isn't sitting there individually deciding that you're unworthy of good customers. When I log into these neglected accounts, the pattern is hilariously consistent. First pattern is location. Now, you probably have a real tight, real world service area. Maybe you're willing to drive 20 minutes, maybe you're willing to drive 30 minutes. Your account, on the other hand, does not have location targeting that aligns with your real world service area. Sometimes the location settings are even set to people in or interested in your area, which is code for anyone who typed your city name into a search once. From your perspective, you see leads an hour away and think, well, this campaign's broken. From the system's perspective, everything is fine because the settings literally told it to do that. The second pattern are keywords that describe a universe and not your business. Whoever set the campaigns up dumped in a bunch of generic terms like landscaping, plumber, bathroom remodeling, and then just walked away. So Google does what it always does. It matches your ad with anything remotely related to those generic terms. You start hearing from people that ask for services that you don't provide, from property types that you don't work on, and at price points that you would never accept. It feels random, but it's not. You told the platform to show you to anyone searching on this broad topic, and it took you at your word. The third pattern is the absence of negative keywords. Negative keywords are just instructions that tell Google Ads you don't want your ad showing up when a particular term is used in the search. No jobs or hiring terms, no free or cheap terms, no commercial terms if you're residential only. That negative keyword list is where you filter out the junk. In most broken accounts, that list is either empty or it has three half-hearted entries. So every irrelevant variation is allowed in. You see junk leads and wasted spend. The platform sees a normal day at the office. And then there's my favorite, fake conversions. Somebody, usually in a hurry, teaches Google what a win is. Instead of it being a qualified lead or a sale, the account is set to track things like About Us page views or Contact Us page views as a conversion. So here's what actually happens. The dashboard lights up and tells you that the campaign is a success. The algorithm looks at those weak conversion signals and decides that's exactly what you want more of. The platform quietly shifts more and more of your budget toward the cheapest and lowest quality traffic that can trigger those conversions all day long. You're looking at your calendar and thinking, none of these leads are actually turning into customers. The machine is looking at the same setup, thinking this campaign is a rock star. Look at all these conversions. The incentives are completely misaligned. You care about booked jobs and revenue. The machine is optimizing towards easy signals. The person that set it up either didn't understand the difference or didn't care enough to fix it. So, what do you do with this info besides rage, unsubscribe from anything that has the word algorithm in it? You don't need to become a full time media buyer, but you do need a simple filter to separate grown-ups from button clickers. Start with this one question. Ask anyone you're thinking about hiring, what exactly counts as a conversion in my account? You want a plain English answer. Something like, we're tracking a conversion when a form is filled out, or when a call lasts longer than 60 seconds, or when you mark a lead as being qualified, or my favorite, you tell us a lead became a customer. If the answer sounds like, oh, Google handles that automatically, or it dissolves into acronyms you don't understand, that's a hard no. Next, ask, how are you controlling my service area or location targeting? They should tell you what states, countries, cities, zip codes they're targeting and which ones they're excluding. They should know actually how far you're willing to drive for a job. If their plan is to just draw a big radius and let the system figure it out, that's exactly the type of plan that leads to jobs that are way too far out for you in neighborhoods you were never planning on serving. Then ask them how often they're going to be looking at your search terms report and adding negative keywords. Search terms are the actual phrases people are typing in before they click on your ad. That's usually where you see all the nonsense that's quietly draining your budget. In a new fresh campaign, someone serious should be in there weekly chopping out that junk. Instead, if you hear, oh, the algorithm is smart enough, we don't really need negatives anymore, you are listening to someone who will happily let you pay tuition forever. Another question that sounds boring but is actually really important. Ask if you'll actually have access to the Google Ads account. You should be able to log into the real thing with your Google login, not just see a pretty PDF report or some custom dashboard. If they insist on keeping you out of the platform, you have no way to verify what's being done in your name or what your data looks like. Finally, you should ask, how will you show me the link between ad spend and actual paying customers? You don't just want a lead count. You want to know how many leads turn into paying customers. That might mean tracking real calls and real form fills, listening to a few calls to judge quality, and working with you to let you know which of the leads turned into customers. If the plan stops at, well, we'll just send you a monthly report of impressions and conversions, that's not measurement, that's decoration. Now, let me zoom out a little bit and try to repair your relationship with this thing a bit. Google is not a magical slot machine where you just pull the lever and hope it blesses you. It's also not a villain sitting in a tower deliberately trying to ruin your small business. It's a very literal optimization engine, and it's going to chase whatever signal you give it. If the signal is cheap clicks, well, you're going to get more cheap clicks. If the signal is any tiny action we can call a conversion, well, you'll get a lot of tiny actions that don't move your business. If the signal is quality phone calls, form submissions, sales, you'll start getting a lot closer to the type of customers you actually want. When you feel betrayed, it's almost always because someone set the wrong signals and then hid behind jargon instead of just owning it. So here's the reframe that I'd give any local business owner. You are not bad at marketing. You just hired someone that optimized for the wrong thing. And your job is not to become an ads nerd. Your job is to insist on clarity. Clarity on where you want customers to come from. Clarity on what you actually sell and what you don't. Clarity about what a good lead actually looks like. And clarity about how money going into the platform is supposed to come back out. Once you have that, Google Ads stops feeling like a hungry god you just feed every month and actually starts feeling more like a powerful tool. Dangerous if you use it blindly, very effective though if you respect it and give it clear instructions. All right, if any of that sounded too familiar, go ahead and let me know in the comments which part of the story you've actually lived. I'm happy to do follow-up videos where I walk through a real account and show you what I'd change. And as always, if you want more practical, no-nonsense content on actually turning paid traffic into customers, don't forget to hit subscribe or follow. And if you're staring at a confusing Google Ads account right now and wondering what went wrong, you can always find me at Freak.Marketing. I do line by line audits so you can understand in plain English, see what's working and what's wasting money, and what you should do next. All right, catch you in the next video.